We've all heard the claim. As the world gets smarter, religion will fade away. Atheism, some say, is the future. Science will replace faith. Technology will outgrow tradition. And humanity will finally step into a purely secular age, free from belief in the unseen. But here's the problem. That prediction isn't coming true. In fact, it's doing the opposite. Globally, it's growing, and not just by a little, by a lot. According to the latest research from Pew, World Religion Database, and even publications like the Financial Times, religion is not dying. And in some places, that's partly true. Europe, for example, has seen a decline in organized religious attendance over the past 50 years. More people identify as nones, meaning no religious affiliation. Let's break this down because it's one of the most misunderstood facts in modern discussions. In Western media spaces like YouTube, Reddit, or academic podcasts, you'll often hear that secularism is on the rise. But here's the catch. That trend is mostly local, not global. That's not guesswork. It's based on actual birth rates, conversion data, and social patterns. If you zoom out beyond Western cities and look at the global numbers, the story is very different. Between now and 2060, the religious population of the world is expected to grow by over 2 billion people. Countries like Japan, South Korea, and much of Western Europe are seeing historic lows in birth rates. Atheism, on the other hand, is shrinking in percentage terms. According to Pew Research, the share of people identifying as atheists, agnostics, or religiously unaffiliated is expected to decline. Not because of persecution or suppression, but because of simple demographics. This isn't just about cultural habits. It's about lifestyle choices that favor family and long-term commitment. Let's look at why. Religious families tend to have higher birth rates. In fact, studies show that religious people have, on average, more children than secular families. Meanwhile, secular populations, especially in developed countries, are having fewer children, with some places even facing population decline. Despite being one of the most scientifically advanced countries in the world, belief in God, prayer, and spirituality remains extremely high compared to secular Europe. Populations there are booming, and religious belief is not just surviving, it's thriving. The same is true in parts of South Asia, the Middle East, and Latin America. So while the secular world tweets about religion dying out, the reality on the ground is very different. And that raises an important question. Why is faith still growing, even in the modern age? Isn't religion supposed to disappear when societies get educated? Actually, no. That's a myth that goes back to what scholars call the secularization theory, the idea that as science advances, religious belief naturally declines. But in recent years, even secular scholars have admitted, this theory has failed. Take the example of the United States, or look at Sub-Saharan Africa. Globally, more people are identifying with faith, not less. And here's the philosophical part. Humans aren't just biological machines that eat, reproduce, and die. We're conscious beings that ask questions. Big questions. Why do we exist? But it does prove something important. What's the purpose of life? But when life gets hard, through loss, sickness, injustice, or death, the human heart looks for answers beyond the physical. After disasters or personal trauma, people report turning to prayer, even those who claim to be non-religious before. What happens after death? Why is there something rather than nothing? Science can tell us how things work, but it struggles to tell us why they exist in the first place. That's why faith keeps coming back, because at the deepest level of human experience, the need for meaning is built in. Even in the most secular societies, people search for purpose. That's why you see movements like mindfulness, meditation, or spiritual but not religious trends gaining popularity. People want more than material success, they want existential answers. And this leads to another point: suffering. When life is easy, some people may feel they don't need God. In Europe and North America, thousands of people convert to Islam every year. In fact, studies show that during times of crisis, belief in God often increases. This doesn't prove religion is true. Human beings are wired to seek transcendence. Now, some might say, that's just evolution playing tricks on our brains. But here's the problem with that argument. If the human mind evolved only for survival, why would it develop the capacity to ask metaphysical questions at all? Why do we care about truth, morality, and ultimate meaning, if nature only cares about survival? From an Islamic perspective, this isn't a glitch, it's a sign. The Quran actually mentions this directly, saying that humans were created with a fitra, a natural inclination to believe in a creator, to recognize right from wrong, and to search for purpose. Even if someone denies religion, that inner drive doesn't disappear. And this could explain why, globally, faith keeps bouncing back, no matter how many times people try to bury it. Let's also talk about conversion rates. Contrary to popular belief, Islam is currently the fastest growing religion in the world. Not by birth rate alone, but by conversion too. Christianity is also growing rapidly in places like Africa and Asia. If religion was really a dying relic of the past, why are millions of people voluntarily embracing faith, especially in societies where it's easy not to? The answer might be simpler than we think. Science can build us better phones and faster cars, but it can't answer. And those questions often lead people, not away from belief, but back to it. Why does anything exist at all? Why is the universe so precisely balanced for life? Why do humans crave justice and meaning? Atheism often answers these questions with, "We don't know yet," and that's honest. But it leaves a gap. Religion steps into that gap, not by shutting down thought, but by expanding it beyond materialism. From the Islamic view, this life isn't just a random event. It's part of a bigger journey. That's why belief persists and grows, despite all predictions to the contrary. In the 1800s, philosophers like Nietzsche declared God is dead. In the 2000s, the new atheists predicted that religion would collapse after the rise of the internet and science education. But here we are in 2025, and faith is still growing. Not because people are uneducated, not because they're superstitious, but because the human need for ultimate answers can't be silenced by smartphones or technology. The more we explore the universe, the more questions arise. So next time you hear someone say, "Religion is dying," check the data. Look at the world beyond social media bubbles. You'll find that the human search for God, purpose, and meaning is far from over. In fact, it's just getting started.